Champions League semi-finals, only 4 clubs remain. At the start of the season, when the UCL was changed to a brand new format, many were skeptical about it. Leave the group stage matches alone, they said. This is not what we want, but boy oh boy has this Champions League delivered. Every single match leading up to the last 4 has been fire. It's been extremely entertaining. We've seen several upsets, but at the end of the day, only 4 clubs remain. It is Arsenal, it is PSG, it is Barcelona, and Inter Milan. 1 club from England, 1 club from France, 1 club from Spain, and 1 club from Italy. Now, before we get into these predictions, I got a very important question for you, my friends. From an entertainment standpoint, do you think the semifinals will top the quarterfinal matchups? Because the quarterfinals of the UCL were actually remarkable. Arsenal versus Real Madrid, PSG versus Aston Villa, Borussia Dortmund versus Barcelona, Inter versus Bayern. Every single matchup was class. But okay, fine, let's get to picking the winners of the semis, and we're gonna start on the left side of the bracket. We're gonna start with Arsenal versus PSG. I'm gonna straight up come out and say this, guys. If you think that PSG cannot win the Champions League this season, you are wrong. They are having an incredible year. They lost 3 matches in the league phase and had to get here via the knockout playoffs. It's not been an easy road for PSG, especially starting in the round of 16. Yes, in the knockout playoffs, they were always going to beat Brest. It was clear they were the better team, and they showed it. 10-0 on aggregate. It wasn't even close. They progressed pretty comfortably and pretty easily. Their first real test came in the round of 16 against Liverpool, a very capable side, a very talented side, very strong side. Some even had Liverpool winning the Champions League this season. Before that matchup even started, we all heard the doubters. Oh, here we go again. PSG is going home nice and early. Liverpool is progressing quite easily in this one. PSG doesn't have what it takes to beat a side like Liverpool. Yet over the course of 2 legs, although it was quite competitive and a close scoreline, you could see clearly that PSG was the dominant side. And between PSG and Liverpool, I would say the best team progressed. PSG was better than Liverpool. They deserved to go to the quarterfinals. Liverpool didn't. Liverpool was dominated heavily at times, especially in that leg 1. If you remember that leg 1, Alisson, my goodness, what a performance. It was a masterclass. If it wasn't for him, leg 1 is probably 3-4, maybe 5-0. It was the match where PSG had 27 shots, 10 shots on target, yet somehow failed to score, and Liverpool had 1 opportunity, put it in the back of the net, and ultimately stole it. At the end of the day, though, the better team came out ahead. PSG deserved it. They deserved to progress. In the last 8, PSG found themselves facing yet another club from the Premier League, Unai Emery and Aston Villa. And although Aston Villa, especially in that second leg, kind of exposed some of the flaws that PSG has, ultimately PSG was just more clinical and they survived that second leg away. Arsenal's journey, on the other hand, to get to the semi-finals of the UCL this year has been completely different. Unlike PSG, Arsenal did get into the top 8 of the Champions League phase. They had a very, very good campaign. They went 6-1-1 in the league phase, only finishing behind Liverpool and Barcelona, drew PSV in the round of 16, and it was over in the first leg. It was 7-1 in the first leg. It wasn't even close. 9-3 on aggregate total. They progressed into the quarterfinals quite easily, knowing that in the quarterfinals they would have to face a quite tough opponent. It was either Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid. It was Real Madrid versus Arsenal, and despite all of Arsenal's injuries and their history of bottling things, they absolutely cooked Real Madrid. It was the Declan Rice show. Real Madrid looked sloppy, unorganized, uncoordinated, uninterested. Mbappe and Vinny Jr. and even Rodrigo, they play 0 defense. It didn't even seem like Real Madrid were even playing specific tactics. I remember at one point in the second leg even seeing 4 Real Madrid players just standing at the halfway line waiting for the ball while Arsenal has the ball in their own end. But to be fair, I don't want the conversation to be about how poor Real Madrid was. I think the conversation has to be how good Arsenal was. This year's season at Real Madrid points out to me that it's just a bunch of Real Madrid individual talents, while Arsenal is a team mentality. They went forward as a team, they defended in numbers. Because of injuries, they relied on bench players like Jakub Kivior to stand up to the occasion, which he did. While Real Madrid showed nothing, there was no creativity. They looked disoriented and unorganized sometimes. The work ethic of some of those players was embarrassing. Individually, those players are brilliant, but that's all it's always about. It's always about individual moments. It's never about a team performance. And in my opinion, that is exactly what cost them. Arsenal progressed, and now it's Arsenal versus PSG. So who is progressing to this Champions League final on the left side of the bracket? Is it Arsenal? Is it PSG? Both clubs look absolutely fantastic. Both clubs look very motivated motivated to get there. I do want to point out quickly that Arsenal and PSG did face each other during the league phase, and Arsenal won 2-0. How much of a factor that will play in this two-legged tie, I'm not 100% sure because it's in the past. Maybe it will give Arsenal a little bit of motivation knowing that they've beaten PSG this year. Maybe it will give PSG a little bit of motivation knowing that they've lost to Arsenal and they want to come out with a different result. It is an extremely tough one to pick. Arsenal's defense is rock solid. PSG's attack is deadly. But because I have to pick, and it's just based off what I saw from both clubs in the quarterfinals, it felt like PSG did have some flaws, like I said before, against Aston Villa, while Arsenal looked extremely solid against Real Madrid. I am going to take Arsenal over 2 legs. It was going to be close, but I think Arsenal progresses, guys. There's just something different about this Arsenal side that we've seen from the previous years, and even though they have a bunch of injuries, it doesn't even matter who plays striker for them. They put Mikel Merino up top. He scores goals. They're missing Gabriel in the back line, who's gone for the season. Jakub Kiwior steps up. This team is filled with resilience, and it just feels like they want to get there no matter the cost. I'm taking Arsenal, but I promise you it could easily be PSG. It's that close. The right side of the bracket, Barcelona versus Inter, and I think this is also going to be a classic. Both clubs were very good in the league phase, both making it the top 8 and both automatically progressing into the round of 16. If I had to pick a club that had a more difficult path to the Champions League semifinals this season between Barcelona and Inter Milan, I would have to say Inter. In the round of 16, Barcelona faced Benfica while Inter Milan faced Feyenoord, and both of those matchups were quite standard. Barca and Inter were favored to progress, and they did quite comfortably and quite easily. Now, in the quarterfinals, Barcelona got matched up against the German side Borussia Dortmund, and although Borussia Dortmund is not having a very good season in the Bundesliga this year, it's actually been extremely disappointing. Everybody always says that Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League is a completely different beast, and that may be true, but unfortunately the first leg is what sealed the deal. Barcelona absolutely hammered Dortmund 4-0, and that was the end. In the second leg, Dortmund tried to come back in front of their fans. They did win that match 3-1, but ultimately it just wasn't enough based on the first leg performance. They were too far behind. While Inter Milan had to go up against Bayern Munich, but it was a different Bayern Munich that got through in the quarterfinals against Bayer Leverkusen. You see, Bayern Munich was for sure one of the favorites to not only progress deep in this Champions League this year, but also win it. A wonderful season in the Bundesliga, Harry Kane scoring consistently. They showed their dominance against Bayer Leverkusen in the round of 16, 5-0 on aggregate. But unfortunately, ahead of the quarterfinal matchup against Inter Milan, Bayern Munich were hit with the injury bug. No Upamecano, no Alphonso Davies, no Jamal Musiala. Those are massive losses when facing a team like Inter Milan. And unfortunately, in my opinion, that was one of the reasons that ultimately cost them the quarterfinals against Inter Milan. They lost the first leg late 2-1 and drew the second one 2-2. Inter Milano progressed 4-3 on aggregate. If we look at how both Inter Milan and Barcelona are performing domestically, it's two clubs at the top of the table. Currently, at the time of this recording, after 33 matches played, Inter Milan is tied for first with Napoli in Serie A, with Barcelona being 4 points adrift of Real Madrid, also for first place in La Liga. But if we take current form into consideration, Inter Milan, since progressing past Bayern Munich in the Champions League, they've actually been on a little bit of a slippery slope. They lost to Bologna in Serie A, surprisingly 1-0, and then they lost to AC Milan in the Coppa Italia 3-0. Back-to-back losses for Inter without scoring a single goal. Barcelona, on the other hand, they've lost a total of 1 match since December 24th, and it was the second leg to Borussia Dortmund. No, seriously, the last time Barca lost prior to losing the second leg to Dortmund 3-1 was December 21st to Atletico Madrid in La Liga. Many are even considering Rafinha to be one of the favorites to win the Ballon d'Or this year. He's got 30 goals and 21 assists in 49 matches through all competitions for Barcelona. That is madness. In the Champions League alone, Rafinha's got 12 goals and 7 assists, okay? Inter Milan also has several players that can change the game, though. Like, don't be fooled. Like, Lautaro Martinez, I think he's having quite an off year by his standards. I think he only has like 12 goals in 30 matches this year in Serie A, but in the Champions League, he's got 8 goals in 11 matches. This semi-final is really a Spanish powerhouse of football versus an Italian powerhouse of football. Now, I did see that Robert Lewandowski is injured and he may not return until early May, maybe in time for the second leg, but it looks like he might be missing the first leg against Inter Milan. Does that change things? Of course it does. He's a proven goal scorer. But will that be enough for Inter Milan to take care of Barcelona? Man, this is also as tough as Arsenal versus PSG, isn't it? I'm still going to say no. I think Barcelona advances, guys. Narrowly, but Barcelona advance. Am I wrong here? So for me, it's Arsenal versus Barca in the Champions League final, but I'm not going to tell you who I think wins this one. We're going to have to wait and see if this is even correct, and then we'll make another video on it. Let me know your predictions down below. Comment your thoughts down below. We're going to have the Europa League predictions and the Conference League predictions out as well in the next couple of days. Thank you for watching, my friends. I hope you found this insightful and entertaining, and I will see you guys in the next one. Also, please hit the like button with the little noti bell and the subscribe button as well, so you don't miss out on any future vids on the channel. I would really appreciate it. All right, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, stay happy, stay healthy, always keep smiling. Peace, 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 peace.